You felt it today. It was a subtle sensation, like someone moved an object in your room while you were sleeping, but you can't quite pinpoint what it was. You have the clear perception that certain ideas, certain anxieties, even certain priorities weren't born inside you. They were implanted with surgical precision. You've been carrying a load that doesn't belong to you, feeling a weight that doesn't match your path, as if you're living inside a story written by someone else's hands. I came here to tell you that you're not going crazy, and that what you're feeling is the echo of an external interference that finally can no longer hide its own shadow. Right now, we're going to establish a contract of clarity. Over the course of this encounter, you'll recognize the 5 specific signs that reveal when your mind is being manipulated by intentions that only want your consumption and your stagnation. You'll understand the exact mechanism that has been used to drain your vital energy, making you work twice as hard, while the results always seem one step away. And before this time ends, I'll hand you the key to reclaim your mental sovereignty, undoing the frequency that tried to silence you for years. You came here because your intuition already knew that what's being planned for your mind has a breaking point, and we're about to reach it now. Let's look at what you've been living through, without filters and without illusions. You've noticed intrusive thoughts that come out of nowhere, phrases that aren't yours, doubts that attack your identity right when you're about to make an important decision. It's like unwanted static interfering with your natural frequency. You feel an unexplained fatigue, that exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix because it's not physical. It's the tiredness of a soul fighting a constant background noise. And maybe the clearest sign of all is that sudden discouragement, a melancholy that shows up for no reason, exactly when life seems to be aligning for you to take a leap. These aren't psychological issues. They're symptoms of an invasion. They're the marks of a system that doesn't want you to awaken to your own authority. Your fingers typing those 3 numbers represent your affirmation of sovereignty. It's your yes to mental freedom and your no to any. Attention! You need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now, before doubt steals another year from your calling. Any influence that wasn't invited to inhabit your sacred space. It's a small gesture, but one of immense power, because it establishes a barrier against what tried to confuse you. Type 888 and then come straight back to me, because what comes next is the deepest layer of the revelation. Everything you've lived through up to now, that feeling that your mind was formatted to serve purposes that ignore your essence, has a name. It's what we call the control frequency. It's an invisible mesh woven with constant stimuli that tries to keep the human being in a permanent state of reactivity. They plan for your mind a path of scarcity, fear, and comparison, because a mind occupied with survival has no time to access its own creative power. When you feel that pressure, when you feel time slipping through your fingers, it's because the system is trying to keep you inside the lines they drew for you. But here lies the secret they hope you never discover. Your mind is not an open field for any seed to be planted. Your mind is a private garden, and you are the only gardener authorized to decide what blooms there. Imagine for a moment your consciousness as a walled city. Originally, that city was built on foundations of light, with clarity and a peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. Yet over the years, outside influences found cracks. Words spoken in moments of weakness, expectations imposed by people who never understood your destiny, and the frantic pace of the modern world created gaps in the walls. Slowly, strangers began to enter. They started dictating how you should feel, how much you should produce, and who you should be to be accepted. That's why you feel torn between who you really are and the mask the world built for you. This invasion didn't happen all at once. It was a slow process, a continuous erosion, until your inner voice was drowned out by the noise of the crowd. But now, what needs to be cleansed is being exposed. Recognition is the first step of purification. Let that recognition firm up the ground where it just landed. The act of typing those 3 words makes the observer inside you take control of your own territory. Type, and then come straight to me. It's not about fighting what's outside, but about strengthening what's inside. Often we try to fight noise with more noise. We try to fight anxiety with more planning. But the solution that gives you back your sovereignty is silence and emptying. Imagine you're sitting on a bench in the center of your inner city, and instead of trying to kick the invaders out, you simply stop paying attention to them. You withdraw your focus. You stop feeding the worries that lead nowhere. When you withdraw focus from the control frequency, it automatically loses power over you. You start practicing mental emptying, letting each intrusive thought pass like a cloud without needing to own it. You are not your thoughts. You are the space where they happen. If something in this message confirmed what your spirit already recognized, let your like be your wordless amen. Don't see it as a number or a metric, but as a silent agreement that what was named here is the truth about your journey. It's a way of saying you accept your own light, even when the world tries to keep it burning, only in secret. On this path, you'll realize that neutrality is your state of greatest strength. You don't have to be reactive to be powerful. You don't have to explain yourself to be validated. Sovereignty is silent. It's a posture, a way of walking through the world, knowing exactly who you are and whose you are. When you inhabit that place of neutrality, attempts at external manipulation simply slide off your surface, finding nothing to latch onto. You're reclaiming control of your perception. You're cleaning the walls of your city. You're finally coming home, to the center of your own will, where stillness is your greatest ally against any plan they try to forge for your mind. There's someone in your life right now who needs to hear this truth. Someone who has been working far beyond what is seen. Someone carrying a heavy silence because they feel no one around understands the depth of what they're going through. That person whose face appeared in your mind while I was speaking, someone who seems to always be searching, yet constantly feels blocked by forces they can't name. Send this clarity to that person, not as a recommendation, but as a service, as a delivery of something they need to reclaim their own breath, just as this message reached you at the exact moment your sovereignty was being reclaimed, not as a request, but as a seal of authority. The confirmation that what was aligned between your spirit and the clarity we received today is a truth you will carry forward in every step in this new season of your life. Type slowly. Feel the weight and importance of each word. Let your fingers do what your spirit is already celebrating. You need to understand that what you feel, that constant weight with no clear origin, is not an accident along the way. It's a control frequency. For years, the world around you, the structures of education, the patterns of work, even family expectations, were subtly shaped to format your mind. They don't want you to be the author of your own story. They need you to be only the reader of a script already written by others. There's a continuous effort to keep your perception occupied, so you never have the silence necessary to notice the strings trying to guide your steps. This diagnosis is precise. You're not failing at living. You're being prevented from accessing your own center. The control system operates on volume, on noise, on artificial urgency, and on the promise that happiness is always one step away, as long as you behave exactly as they expect. When you feel suddenly discouraged, with no external cause to justify it, it's because the frequency they emit found a point of resonance in your structure. They try to standardize your thinking, turning your uniqueness into a predictable statistic. Your fatigue isn't just physical, it's the exhaustion of trying to be yourself inside a mold designed to crush you. Now imagine your inner life as a great walled city. Once, that city was vibrant, full of gardens, with springs of crystal clear water and gates open to the light. It was a place where your intuition, your deepest voice, and your true desires could flourish in peace. But over time, silent invaders began to scale the walls. They didn't knock down the gates with force. They simply started inhabiting the spaces, occupying the corners of your thoughts, with fears that weren't yours, with needs that weren't yours, and with judgments that were always foreign to your nature. They set up scaffolding, put up fences where there was once open path, and little by little turned your central square into a warehouse of others' expectations. That's why, even inside yourself, you feel like a stranger. That's why you walk through your own mind, as if through a territory occupied by forces you never invited. Cleaning this space doesn't require war. It only requires the recognition that the occupants have no deed of ownership. When you finally look at the mess, at the intrusive thoughts, at that feeling of being monitored by voices that aren't yours, you realize the walled city needs an eviction order. It's not just a phrase, it's the act of taking back the keys to the gates. When you type those 3 words, you're formalizing for yourself that the occupation is over, that consciousness has retaken its throne, and that you are no longer a spectator of your own mental hijacking. It's a declaration of sovereignty that resonates in your body and changes your posture before the world. Type firmly, without hesitation, and feel the impact of that inner movement. Often this message might feel dense, but it carries a confirmation your spirit has known for a long time. If what was exposed here touched your core, if you felt this conversation was actually a confirmation of something you've been quietly noticing, let your like be your wordless amen. It's not about a social media metric, nor about seeking external approval. It's a sacred gesture of agreement. It's the way your spirit says that what was named here is a truth it had already registered, but hadn't yet received its proper name. By doing this, you're acknowledging that clarity is a common good, and that by accepting it, you're strengthening your commitment to your own freedom. It's a simple move, but of immense depth for those who understand that, on this plane of existence, truth only gains strength when it is recognized. What happens from now on is a process of emptying. You don't need to build a new mind, you only need to remove what was implanted. Imagine you're walking through the corridors of your walled city, and one by one you're taking down the paintings that don't belong to you, erasing the inscriptions that weren't made by you, and opening the windows that were kept shut for years. You'll notice that as you do this, silence begins to become your natural state. Not an empty silence, but a silence filled with clarity. You don't have to struggle to understand your path. You only need to silence the noise that was placed over it. When you reach that state of neutrality, the answers you sought outside start to sprout from within, like plants finally receiving sunlight after a long season of shadow. Don't try to force the outcome. Just watch the collapse of the control structures and feel the pleasure of having your inner space back. It's like coming home after a long journey, but with the wisdom of someone who now knows exactly who holds the key and who is allowed to enter. Your mind is a temple, not a public square for the convenience of others. From today on, every thought you allow in will undergo a rigorous check of origin. If it doesn't serve your highest purpose, if it doesn't echo your essential truth, it simply has no place here. That is the exercise of sovereignty. It's a daily return, a constant watch, a tending of your own mental atmosphere with the delicacy of one protecting the most precious thing they possess. Don't rush. The restoration process has its own timing, and every moment of silence you conquer is a brick you remove from the oppression they tried to build over your essence. You are in control of the reconstruction, and the world, with all its demands, will have to adjust to the new frequency you are now emitting, because now you are no longer a reflection of their expectations, but a direct expression of your own origin. Have you noticed how silence, when cultivated, begins to whisper truths that the world's noise tried to drown out? The solution to this invasion of foreign intentions is not to fight the shadows, because fighting only consumes the energy you should be preserving. The solution is the return to neutrality, a conscious exercise of mental emptying. Imagine your mind is a vast hall, and for years, strangers came in and left boxes, furniture, and belongings that don't belong to you. The exercise of emptying is the act of, one by one, carrying those items to the door and placing them where they came from. There's no rush. You don't have to get rid of everything in a single day. The process begins when you realize that a thought, a worry, or a specific doubt doesn't bear your signature, doesn't carry your mark of origin. When you identify something that was implanted, you simply return it. You release it from your atmosphere. By doing this, you're not losing anything. You're gaining space for your own essence to finally breathe. Take a deep breath now, because this recognition is the most important step. There is someone in your close circle, someone carrying the same burden, whose image just appeared in your mind while I was speaking. Maybe it's that person who always seems a little more tired than they should be, someone with sharp intelligence, but who stays in an almost protective silence, as if guarding a truth no one else would understand. That person is the silent observer, exhausted from trying to dim their brightness so as not to bother others. They are the seeker who, even without knowing it, is waiting for a word that validates their intuition. Send this message to them now, not as advice, but as a gesture of recognition. It's an act of silent service, a call for them to also awaken to the sovereignty that was taken from them. This is the moment to seal this understanding in your own record, so that it becomes unshakable before any future attempt at external manipulation. The recognition of who you are is not something you earn through effort. It's something you claim by right of spiritual lineage. Don't do this as a request for validation, but as a proclamation, a signature you place on the contract of your own life. When your fingers type those words, they confirm to your internal system that you no longer accept being an extra in the script others wrote for you. It's your affirmation that the frequency you now emit is sovereign, authentic, and non-negotiable. Feel the gravity of each word as you write them. Allow the intention behind your gesture to settle like a rock in the soil of your consciousness, establishing that from now on, your mind responds only to your own truth and to the light that guides your path. Take a moment to feel this new firmness, this alignment that now stretches from the root to the crown of your being. You are becoming the guardian of a space that should never have been violated. Your sovereignty is not an external construction. It's an unveiling of what was always yours, but was covered by layers of expectations the world imposed from early on. And now feel the weight of these declarations, for they are the foundation of what you are about to live in this new season. You are committed to the truth that now pulses in your chest. You are commissioned to live no longer by the shadows of the past, but by the clarity of the present you have conquered. You are sent to walk in the world, keeping your mental atmosphere protected, acting as a beacon for those still lost in the labyrinth of others' intentions. These truths are not just concepts. They are the bedrock of your new existence. There is someone in your life who needs exactly this clarity tonight. Someone who has been working far more than everyone around them and yet watches the door remain closed. Think now of those people who live with a fatigue no rest seems to cure, those who have a look of searching for something they can't name but feel has been subtracted from their minds. A face appeared in your mind while I was speaking, didn't it? That someone carrying a silent weight and a posture of waiting, but who can't find the way out of the fog. Send this message to that person, not as a casual recommendation, but as a delivery, an act of ministerial care. What reached you today came by precise spiritual appointment, and the same current that brought it here must reach the one you just visualized. Before we close, this is the moment to anchor everything that was revealed. It's not about hope, not about a vague wish, but about a confirmation of what is already real in your spirit. Type the words, "I am the chosen one," in the comments below. Type slowly, letting each letter carry the force of your decision. Feel the responsibility and the honor that accompany this recognition. You're no longer operating from what was planned for you, but from what you yourself have validated as your absolute truth. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. At this very moment, scattered all over the world, there are other listeners receiving this same confirmation, tuned to the same frequency of mental sovereignty you just consolidated. You are part of a silent movement that needs no announcements or spotlights, because your existence is itself the testimony of the truth the world tried to hide. You are the network that sustains lucidity in times of confusion, and it is precisely for this reason that your connection is so unshakable. It is sealed. Attention! You need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now before doubt steals another year from your calling.